We just heard that Michele Gile can talk to us now. And Michele, we've seen a lot of things happen since we last spoke with you. We noticed they did just take into custody this guy, this protester that was throwing projectiles at those federal officers who really became pretty upset with him. But now he's in custody.
Yeah, and it looks now like the crowd is mobilizing once again in front of the steps there at the Civic Center. I have been listening to some of the questions that you've had specifically about detainees as at the Orange County Women's Central Jail, which is off in the distance there. And I have called the Sheriff's Department to check on this. At one time, I do know that ICE detainees were held in our jail, that being the Orange County Jail, not to be mistaken with the Santa Ana City Jail, which is just across the street from the Men's Central Jail. The Sheriff's Department tells me that they are going to check for me on that information. They do not believe that ICE detainees are held there, but the sergeant is going to make 100% certain and get back to me shortly on that. So, bringing us up to date on the situation here, you know what, this is a cat and mouse game, right? So, the protesters, the demonstrators get close. Some of them taunt the federal officers. That then prompts them to set off the less lethal smoke bombs and the pepper balls and that kind of thing. Earlier, I think it was the 4 o'clock hour, Tim Kimball, my photographer, was in the crowd there, and he got hit with one of the pepper balls that ricocheted off the ground or hit him in the stomach. He is fine and rinsed his eyes and was able to continue shooting video for us, and we're very appreciative of that, of course. So, as the sun goes down here, people are getting off work. They're showing up with their signs. Lots of young people here. They've got their flags, and like I said, it ebbs and flows. They get closer to that line of federal officers. Some of them get too close, and then the smoke bomb goes off and the pepper balls go off, and everyone retreats. They run back in the direction where I am through Sasser Park, which is just, 500 feet from the entrance to that building. And things calm down for a few minutes, and then they're back at it again. I also checked in with Santa Ana Police. You've seen that their skirmish line has moved quite a bit up from where they were about an hour ago. Santa Ana maintains, the police department, that they are here to for public safety and also to make sure that there is not vandalism or any sort of destruction. So I asked whether they might start shooting off pepper balls or the smoke bombs, and the officer who is in charge of the media there said, again, they are here for public safety and to make sure that there is not destruction or defacement of buildings and things in Santa Ana. So you see the situation here now. Things are loud but calm, and I predict that in a few minutes things are going to change, because that's what's been going on here for the past 3 hours or so.
You know, that's interesting, Michele. I don't remember hearing about much activity out of Santa Ana yesterday, last night, and it seems like today certainly has been a different story. Maybe that's because of some of the raids that took place in those businesses that we were talking about. So I'm sure Santa Ana PD is going to be keeping their eye as the evening grows on, and hopefully, nothing even close happens to what happened in downtown Los Angeles last night. But I'm sure they have to be ready.
Okay, here we go. So now the crowd running back toward us. Something has obviously gone on near the staircase where the federal officers are. It looks like I can see some smoke in the distance, and now everyone is running toward us.
We can hear it.
The Sheriff's Department, yep, that's an M80 or some sort of firecracker set off, I believe, by demonstrators. The Sheriff's Department has gotten back to me. Orange County Sheriff does not house ICE detainees, anyone arrested for immigration through the federal government. So it is unclear where the people who we believe are taken into custody today around Orange County were taken. Maybe somewhere in LA County, maybe another county. We may have a facility here in this complex, just not clear on that. But we know they're not in the Santa Ana City Jail, and we know that they are not in the Orange County Sheriff's Department Men's Central Jail or the Women's Jail.
You know, you wonder if even family members know where they've been taken, Michelle, and I say that because a lot of people still, at this day, from what we've heard, family members that were taken into detention on Friday, Saturday, that they have been denied access to family members, so they don't necessarily know. Well, they believe that they're being held at the Metro Detention Center in Los Angeles, but, you know, I guess they're not even 100% certain.
I mean, I think the fact that Michele has been reporting and asking authorities, and they don't even know, I think that says volumes about this entire situation, and not knowing where people are being held, where they're being transported. In many cases, you know, people have children and they're separated from their children. So I think it says a lot that we don't know, and even some of the people in charge of these institutions and law enforcement agencies don't know.
And Santa Ana is a sanctuary city, so you would possibly think that there would be more information. But this has taken on a very, very different tone with the administration being involved and federal agents here taking over. So there is very little information that's being dispersed at this time.
And another 2,000 National Guards, men and women, on their way to Los Angeles, 2,000 already here, and 700 Marines also being deployed. You know,
now that we're talking about that, do we know exactly what the Marines will do when they get here, what they can do?
All we've been told is that they will join in with the National Guard, and that they will continue to support the federal mission. And we don't really know what that might be. I mean, is that continuing to guard the federal buildings? Are they going to go out with federal immigration officers as they conduct operations, immigration operations? We don't know. They will join in, and they say, quote, seamlessly join in with the California National Guard and be under that same command of that two-star general that is commanding the California National Guard right now. But they've been, you know, honestly and probably intentionally vague about what they're going to be doing, because we just don't know their plan, right? We don't know if they're going to go out in the streets and assist with these, enforcement actions. They said they will be there to protect federal employees. So that makes you wonder if they're going to be going out and assisting in some of these raids, or at least providing protection while federal immigration agents do their work.
Let's mention, so far we have not heard of any agent that has been injured as a result of conducting raids. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but we haven't heard that.
Right.
We don't have
I
any
know Friday night or Saturday, the FBI did put out a flyer saying they were looking for a person that assaulted a federal agent. We didn't hear about that federal agent necessarily being injured to the point of needing medical treatment, but they did say that they were at least looking for that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just picking up on what you said about being able to go out with the agents and for protection.
Or at least crowd control. I mean, that was what we saw on Friday was those agents went out there and they were clearly unable to control the crowd around them and still conduct their operation. And it got to a point where they, kind of got bottlenecked a little bit in there. And then I think some outside agencies had to come in. That was where the big criticism of, LAPD, which there's disagreements on how long it took LAPD to get there. And then, Pat, what we ended up seeing Friday night at 11:30 in downtown was that really large showing of federal law enforcement agents with Bearcats, with armed. They were in helmets. I mean, they really showed up to get those guys out of there.
And you know what? We actually saw LAPD behind them, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Which is
yeah. I mean, remember LAPD showed up for a minute and then just decided this is going to be on you guys, because it ended up being in that parking lot where all those federal agents were staging. Yeah. And then the protesters figured out that they were staging there, began to protest them, and then we spoke with Representative Jimmy Gomez, who was trying to get those agents to just leave, and ultimately those very armed federal agents pushed the crowd forward enough to be able to let the rest of the cars kind of sneak out the back behind them, and that's where we left it. But that was the only, since Friday. And to my knowledge, that was the only time we saw federal law enforcement engage in crowd control operations.
And maybe LAPD was behind them just in case anything happened to the federal agents?
Right, potentially. And on the right side of your screen looks like live pictures from Michele, and I think that's probably another pepper spray or tear gas, cleaning going on there. You can see it pouring water in his eyes.
Okay, yeah, and that's why it's so important to have, let me just note, our very credible reporters on the ground witnessing and bringing live pictures as to what is actually happening. Because if you hear different reports and if you hear it summarized by, let's say, Washington, D.C. versus the city of L.A., it's two very different stories, right? So we have a team of reporters who have been covering this from the very beginning, in the middle of all of this chaos, as we try to sort out exactly what is going on as all of these federal agents and troops are being brought in to Southern California.